In this video, we are going to discuss the global settings inside of PicPal. The global settings are essentially the default settings that you apply to all of the new projects inside of PicPal. Let's get started by clicking the Settings link at the top left of the screen next to the File menu. Upon clicking the Settings button, a dialog box will pop up. This dialog box has two tabs located at the top left. They are the Default Settings and Manage Company Info. As you can see, we begin in the Default Settings tab. Just so that you can see what it looks like, let's click the Manage Company Info tab. You can see that we currently have one header created. This area is where you create your company headers. However, back on the Default Settings tab is where you would choose a header from the list to be your default header. Starting back at the top left of the dialog box, let's begin with Reduce Image to. If you know what size that you commonly reduce your photos to, then you can choose it here to be the default. I'll go ahead and choose 1920 by 1080. Next, we have a checkbox for auto-renaming all pictures. You would still need to supply the name to rename them to down here at the bottom left of the screen. Essentially, this default just makes sure that this box is checked by default. Next, we have a checkbox for Add Image Size in File Names. It can be useful to have the image sizes appended to the file names of each photo in case you have resized to several different image sizes and you do not want to have to go back to the picture details each time to check the resolution. The next one is the Default Project Folder. As discussed in other videos, this defaults to the root of your C drive. Many times a computer has a small but fast solid-state hard drive as the C drive and then a larger D drive where most of their things are stored. Since the PicPal program folder will hold all of the original images used in PicPal, you could see where this could become a huge file very quickly. It might make sense for you to install the PicPal projects folder on a drive other than your C drive so that it does not clog up your system. However, by default, the PicPal folder will be located in the root of your C drive. The output folder is where PicPal sends all of the processed media. When you process a project, nothing is added to the PicPal folder in the root of your C drive other than the original files. All of the processed work will be located in the output folder. By default, the output folder is created on your desktop the first time you process photos with PicPal. I like it on the desktop because it is quick and easy to access. However, some of you may want it to be located somewhere else. This is the place to assign the default location for the PicPal output folder. The next item is the creation of zip folders. Although not that complicated, people seem to really be uneducated when it comes to working with zip folders. Check for another video in our library that discusses zip folders, how to zip them, how to unzip them, why you need them, etc. Suffice it to say that the checkbox for Create Zip pretty much means that. It will process your photos as normally into a folder, but then it will also put a zip file inside the parent folder. This saves you the extra step of having to create a zip file if you're going to upload it to Google Drive or Dropbox to get a link to email to someone due to the size limitations with sending the actual photos themselves through email. So when this box is checked here in the global settings, then this box down here would also be checked by default. The next item is Create PDF. We have another video specifically about the PDF reports. However, this button will cause there to also be a PDF report created every time you click the Convert button to process a project. That also means that this box down here in the PDF tab would be checked by default. There is also the option to add the file names to the photos in the PDF. This would add the file names to the descriptions area of the photos. The file name would be centered below each photo. Any descriptions added would then be listed below the photo and below the file name. The company info drop-down box is obviously for you to specify which company header that you want to use by default. We currently have Jackson chosen. The last item at the bottom of the dialog is for the PicPal log files. With all software come bugs. Sometimes we just don't catch them all. This allows you to set a custom area where it will store any error logs for errors that you may have come across. When emailing us with regard to an error that you may have received, please also navigate to the place where these logs are kept and attach them to the email so that we can quickly work out your problems. Well, that is about it for this video. Please take the time to watch all of the PicPal training videos.